Alright guys, this is the Backseat Hero coming at you from the Dorknamic Hero YouTube channel. I am very excited to get this underway and make this first video for the channel. Hopefully you guys enjoy what we've got in store for you. I'm still trying to figure out my formatting and experimenting with what I'm trying to do, so no matter what, if you guys have any comments, concerns, feedback, please leave them in the comments below and I will be sure to look through your feedback and hopefully tailor this experience to make it more enjoyable for everyone. Just to give you guys a little overview of what I'm trying to do in this first video, I'm super excited. We are going to be touching on the DC Extended Universe versus the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm going to start out by giving you guys a little background information on Marvel and DC movies alike and kind of telling you where the comic book rivalry started and how it's transitioned into film. So back in the 30s, we were introduced to this kind of idea of justice being formed around symbolism with the creation of characters like Superman and Batman who revolutionized the comic book industry and really brought this idea of superheroes to form. The big differences between Marvel and DC over the course of the 20th century was kind of the shift DC made towards a more darker approach on these vigilante type characters, whereas Marvel always kind of stuck with the more gun-ho, happy to help, family-friendly superheroes. DC's always had that side and aspect to it, but there's no denying its darker elements that have been around since the beginning. Batman has always been a darker vigilante character, and the villains especially have been very vile and evil, and that's what we've seen transition over again into the modern day and age. And so that's kind of where the rivalry stands, is where you as a fan really feel most at home and most comfortable with. It all comes down to, do you feel more comfortable with the dark and gritty, more serious approach, or do you like a more light-hearted, kind of fun, hopeful approach that Marvel offers? And it's really kind of gotten a little crazy when these movies have taken both sides of those arguments to their extremes, and fans have taken their opinions on it to those very same extremes, and they're kind of tearing up at each other. And it can be really entertaining to watch personally. But at the same time, you've got this whole community now that's focused on Marvel fanboys versus DC fanboys, and then people in the middle who are trying to, say, well, you can like both, it's all okay to like both, getting dragged into it and being put down, being said they liked only one or the other just for saying that, and it's just creating this contentious mentality. And I agree, you can like both. I personally will say it right here, I have always been more of a DC fan when it's come to animation, cartoons, comics. I was a DC kid. I always loved Wolverine and Spider-Man, and Captain America is my favorite Marvel Cinematic movie, the first Avenger. That was amazing. However, I'm still more of a fan of films like Batman v Superman than I am of films like The Winter Soldier. And that's my take, and that's okay. DC fans are happy, or DC fans who are happy with the DCEU, I should say, are loving where these movies are going, and those movies are made for these fans. And that's what we all kind of need to remember, is the movies are made for their fans. Marvel is tailoring their movies for their fans, and that's why their fans enjoying it. And it just so happens to be that the majority of people enjoy Marvel movies, whereas the people who enjoy DC movies are in the minority, and that's okay. And I hopefully, with the next 3 videos, will be able to kind of communicate where a lot of us DC fans are coming from, and point out a lot of the positives that are kind of being drowned out in this world of controversy towards an otherwise really enjoyable franchise because of its very blatant apparent differences to the multi-billion-dollar empire that Disney's turned the Avengers universe into. So where does all this hate and backlash and all these bad reviews of the DC extended universe come from? Where do they come from? Because obviously there has to be a good basis for them. I mean, I can't just sit here and tell you they're perfect and amazing and people just hate them for no reason. No, of course. I mean, people aren't going to enjoy them, and there's a big reason why a majority of audiences aren't liking them. My personal opinion is because they have such a stark contrast to the MCU. It is a very different superhero movie than what we're used to, and the MCU has been what's been dominating the superhero industry for the past decade or so. And that's kind of where we got to remember the DC universe is a completely different universe than the Marvel universe. Things will be handled differently. People will be darker, more serious, or can be darker, more serious, and that's all right. We don't need to sit there and nitpick every single little detail. The biggest issue people seem to have with DC movies is they're too depressing, they're too serious, they're too gritty, and there's too much destruction. You know, Man of Steel destroyed 2 entire cities. Yeah, you're right. It was an intergalactic conflict, between 2 superhuman aliens. And of course they destroyed Metropolis and Gotham in their battle. That's just how it happened. And there was consequences. There was fallout for it. In the Avengers, we see that same sort of conflict between aliens in the first Avengers movie, and they destroy half New York. And there are consequences in fallout eventually in Civil War, but it's not as serious and emotional, and it's a less realistic take on it, and that's okay. They exist in a movie superhero realm and universe. They can throw realism to the wind completely if they wanted to. The DC universe is kind of going at it from a more realistic, real-world approach, and I think that's where a lot of the fans of it enjoy it. And once again, it's all right to love both. I have always enjoyed the different approaches on them. I haven't always enjoyed the way Marvel has made their movies, but DC's not without its faults, of course. Another big thing I think it comes down to is the directors of the DCEU. Zack Snyder is a controversial director on his own, and he has directed 2 of the biggest installments now in the DC universe, and he's directing Justice League. His take on Watchmen was controversial when it came out. Sucker Punch, one of my favorite movies of all time, is very unique and different, and people are split right down the middle on whether or not they enjoy it. Zack Snyder, in my opinion, is a brilliant and genius director, and he has a very unique style that we only really see in his films, and that's why it's not always so widely accepted whether or not a movie of his is good, because we've never seen anything like it before. And I just really hope that as the DC universe continues to evolve and branch out with the Justice League films and each hero's standalone film, and as the Marvel universe continues to grow, we'll start seeing a bit more similarities as opposed to differences. Fans will start acknowledging one another and realizing that it's okay to have differences in opinions, because that's really what it comes down to. Is we got to look at these movies from the perspective of, I'm probably not going to enjoy it, and that's okay because this movie isn't made for me, or even I may or may not enjoy it and I'm willing to give anything a shot. And I think it really comes down to us as an audience. That's where it comes down to. And so hopefully I'll be able to go into far more detail in the next 2 episodes. Part 2 will be coming out next week, and it will go very in depth on the pros and cons of the DC cinematic universe. And that's kind of where my DC fanboy is going to start coming out, so I apologize ahead of time. The Marvel cinematic universe will be covered in part 3. And once again, it'll be pros and cons, what I've loved about it, what I dislike about it, where I feel like it can improve, and kind of just hopefully shed some light on both sides of the argument and bring us together as superhero fans, comic book fans, and a film audiences. And that brings us to the end of the first video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. I'm really hoping that my friend and I can really get this project off the ground. We have a lot of hope for this YouTube channel and really just want to get into it. So yeah, like it if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe for the next few parts, and later this week you'll be getting a video from my fellow collaborator, the Not Dead Robin, and hopefully everything will work out really well. Leave a comment if you think I should improve. I'm sorry for the voice sound quality of this video. I'm working on it. Hopefully as the channel progresses, the video quality will go up. And thank you so much.